The fatal risk of early morning showers for seniors, why timing could save a life. Most of us don't give a second thought to the time of day we take a shower. For decades, I thought of it as a matter of personal preference, whether you're a morning person or someone who likes to wind down with a warm rinse before bed. But recently, I came across some shocking research that completely changed my perspective, especially when it comes to the health and safety of seniors over the age of 70. Medical experts have now identified the early morning hours between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. as the most dangerous window for elderly individuals to take a shower. According to researchers at Harvard Medical School, seniors are 80% more likely to experience fatal accidents when they shower during this time frame. That statistic alone is terrifying, but it's the explanation behind it that really hit me. Apparently, the body goes through a natural physiological shift during the early morning hours. Blood pressure tends to dip overnight and then rises sharply as you wake up, a phenomenon called the morning surge. For seniors, this surge can wreak havoc on already fragile cardiovascular systems. Add the strain of a hot shower, the standing posture, and potential slipperiness of a bathroom, and you've got a recipe for disaster. I couldn't help but reflect on how many times I've encouraged my parents, both in their 70s, to start the day early with a shower, thinking it would energize them. I had no idea that this habit could actually be putting their lives at risk. The case of Stanley Peterson, a healthy and independent 75-year-old who tragically lost his life after an early morning shower, truly brought the danger home. It's not just theory, these are real people with families who are blindsided by something that seems so routine and harmless. What I've learned from this information is that timing is not a trivial detail. For seniors, showering at the wrong time of day isn't just inconvenient, it can be life-threatening. It makes perfect sense when you think about it. The body is at its most vulnerable right after waking up. Muscles are stiff, blood pressure is still regulating, and the brain isn't firing on all cylinders yet. My personal takeaway is that prevention doesn't have to be complicated. Simply shifting a daily habit, like scheduling a shower for mid-morning instead of early morning, can drastically reduce the risk of falls, fainting, or heart issues. This is such a small change that could have an enormous impact. I've since talked to my parents about moving their showers to between 10 a.m. and noon, when the body is more awake, blood pressure is stable, and reaction times are sharper. I even bought them a little sticky note to put on the mirror as a reminder. They were skeptical at first, but after hearing the statistics and real-life stories, they agreed. In my opinion, this is exactly the kind of information that needs to be shared more widely. We focus so much on diet, exercise, and medication for seniors, but we sometimes overlook the small, daily routines that can quietly pose the greatest risks. Timing matters, and in this case, knowing when not to shower could be the difference between life and death. The hidden danger of hot showers for seniors, when warmth becomes a threat. We often think of hot showers as a comforting ritual, a way to wake up, soothe muscles, or unwind after a long day. But what if that same comfort could be putting our health, or the health of someone we love, at serious risk? Until recently, I had no idea that for seniors over 70, especially during early morning hours, a hot shower could trigger a medical emergency. What's truly alarming is that the risk comes from something as simple and seemingly harmless as body temperature regulation. According to experts in geriatric medicine, as we age, our bodies lose the ability to adapt quickly to changes in temperature, particularly in the early morning when our core body temperature is naturally at its lowest. The sudden exposure to hot water at that time can shock the system and lead to cardiovascular strain. Reading this, I was stunned. I always assumed that feeling lightheaded in a hot shower was just a minor annoyance, not a potential warning sign of something more serious. But it turns out that this kind of reaction is common in seniors, and can even trigger heart rhythm disturbances or fainting, especially in combination with the body's fragile morning state. Take the case of Albert Reynolds, an 83-year-old retired accountant who suffered a near-fatal cardiac event simply from stepping into a hot shower at his usual 6 a.m. routine. His cardiologist later explained that the temperature shock had caused an arrhythmia, a condition he never even knew he had. That hit home for me, because my grandfather, who's 81, still insists on waking up before dawn and taking hot showers, no matter the season. After learning all of this, I realized that what seems like a harmless personal routine can actually endanger someone's life. And it's not just about age, it's about how our bodies function differently with time, and how we need to adapt to those changes. It made me wonder how many other small habits could quietly be working against our well-being without us even noticing. One of the simplest but most effective recommendations I've come across is to reduce shower water temperature to lukewarm, ideally between 95 degrees Fahrenheit and 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 35 to 38 degrees Celsius. It's also suggested to install an anti-scald device, which costs only around $20 but can prevent a dangerous temperature spike. After doing a bit of research, I found one online and had it installed in my parents' bathroom. It gave me peace of mind, knowing they were a bit safer. More importantly, I sat down and had a real conversation with them about this. We agreed that pride in self-sufficiency should never come at the expense of safety. My mom even admitted that she had felt a bit woozy after a few of her hot morning showers, but she just brushed it off as getting older. What she didn't realize was that those were early warning signs of something more serious. In my opinion, awareness is everything. If we don't talk about these hidden health threats, especially the ones that come from such ordinary daily habits, we can't protect the people we care about. Hot showers may feel good, but after 70, they must be approached with caution, especially early in the day. Safety starts with small changes, and when it comes to body temperature regulation, it could start with simply turning the knob just a little cooler. Medication and morning showers, a risky combination seniors must not overlook. When we think of managing medication, we usually focus on taking the right dosage at the right time. But what if I told you that when you shower relative to your medication schedule could actually turn a simple, everyday task into a life-threatening situation? This was a shocking realization for me, and it's one that, sadly, most people don't even know they need to consider. Recent insights from the Mayo Clinic and leading geriatric cardiologists show that taking blood pressure medication and showering within a close time frame, especially in the early morning, can dangerously lower blood pressure to the point of fainting. For seniors over 70, this is not just a minor health scare. Fainting in a slippery, wet environment like the shower is one of the most dangerous places for a fall. When I first read about this, I immediately thought of my aunt, who is 74 and takes her blood pressure medication the moment she wakes up. She's always been a creature of habit, medication, followed by a shower within the next 15 to 20 minutes. It never occurred to either of us that this routine could be creating a perfect storm inside her body. After all, she's doing everything right, taking her meds as prescribed and maintaining good hygiene. But here's what the experts are warning: blood pressure medications often reach peak effectiveness in the early morning, which means they're actively lowering blood pressure just as your body is already dealing with natural early morning dips and the cardiovascular stress of a hot shower. The result? A double drop in blood pressure that can leave seniors dizzy, disoriented, or even unconscious. That hit me hard, especially when I read about Patricia Sullivan, a 76-year-old who fainted in the shower because she took her lisinopril and then showered shortly after. She didn't see the connection until her doctor explained the dangerous interaction between the medication's timing and her morning shower habit. After she adjusted her schedule, spacing her shower at least 3 hours apart from her medication, her dizzy spells stopped completely. This got me thinking, how many seniors out there are unknowingly putting themselves in harm's way with similar routines? It's not just about what we do, but when we do it. And it's scary how such a tiny timing oversight can have potentially fatal consequences. Now, I've helped my aunt set up a new schedule. She takes her medication at 7 a.m. but doesn't shower until after 10 a.m. We even made a small chart to track timing, just to keep things simple. It's a minor adjustment that provides major peace of mind. In my opinion, doctors and caregivers should talk more openly about timing interactions, not just dosages. Seniors are managing a dozen different things each day, from pills to appointments, and the idea that a shower could interfere with medication never crossed our minds until now. This is a wake-up call. Never shower within 2 hours of taking blood pressure medication, and if you're unsure, talk to your doctor today. It might seem like a small change, but it could save your life, or the life of someone you love. Don't wait for a close call to make the change. Prevention is always better than recovery. Seeing in the dark, the overlooked dangers of early morning bathroom trips for seniors. If you've ever stumbled to the bathroom in the early morning darkness, you know how disorienting it can be. Now imagine doing that at age 75 or older, with weaker eyesight, slower reflexes, and a higher risk of falling. I never truly considered how dangerous a pre-dawn bathroom routine could be, until I watched my elderly neighbor recover from a bathroom fall that nearly cost her independence. The truth is, our perception changes drastically with age. According to the National Institute on Aging, seniors lose up to 60% of the visual clarity in low-light conditions. That means walking into a dimly lit bathroom before sunrise can feel more like walking blindfolded. Slippery tiles, small puddles of water, or even the edge of a bath mat become real hazards, ones that a younger eye might have easily spotted in better lighting. Personally, this hit home after what happened to Mr. Gregory Harrison, an 81-year-old former postal worker I know from church. One morning at around 5:30 a.m., he slipped on water he couldn't see in the dark bathroom. The fall fractured his hip. Though he survived, his mobility was never the same, and neither was his independence. He went from living alone to needing constant assistance, all because of one poorly lit trip to the shower. It made me question my own assumptions. Why do we assume our homes are safe simply because they're familiar? The bathroom, statistically, is the most dangerous room in the house, especially for seniors. Add poor lighting and early hours, and it becomes a minefield. What's scary is how preventable these incidents are with just a few changes. I went straight to my parents' house and did a nighttime walkthrough. It shocked me how dark the hallway and bathroom were before sunrise. No night lights, no color-contrasted mats, nothing to signal wet areas or changes in flooring. And they're in their 70s. We immediately bought motion sensor night lights and brightly colored non-slip mats, and placed one light in the hallway, one at the bathroom entrance, and another inside by the sink. These fixes cost less than $50 but could easily prevent thousands in medical bills, and more importantly, preserve their safety and dignity. Another overlooked point is contrast sensitivity. As we age, our eyes struggle to distinguish objects that don't stand out. That gray bath mat on a gray tile floor might as well be invisible to someone over 70, especially in the dark. That's why I now recommend using high contrast colors, something like a bright yellow or red mat, so it pops out, even in dim light. In my opinion, every senior home should be reviewed for nighttime safety, especially in the bathroom. It's easy to assume, I've used this bathroom for 30 years, I know it like the back of my hand, but your body isn't the same as it was 30 years ago. Vision declines, balance weakens, and risks increase. Let's stop waiting for accidents to happen. The morning darkness hides more than sleepiness, it hides dangers we can't afford to ignore. A few lights, a few mats, and a shift in awareness can make all the difference. If you love someone over 70, this is a conversation worth having tonight, not after an emergency. Morning dehydration plus showering, the silent danger lurking in your routine. I used to think that a morning shower was the best way to wake up. Cleanse the sleep off, feel refreshed, start the day right. But after learning how morning dehydration can turn this ritual into a serious danger for seniors, I've completely changed my mindset, and I think you might want to as well. Most people, including myself until recently, don't realize that we all wake up mildly dehydrated. It's natural. We go 6 to 8 hours without fluids, we sweat a little during sleep, and if we breathe through our mouths or use the bathroom at night, we lose even more water. For young people, this is often no big deal. But for someone over 70, dehydration hits differently, and far more dangerously. What shocked me the most is the way this mild dehydration interacts with early morning showers. According to geriatric health researchers at Johns Hopkins, showering while dehydrated, especially in the morning, greatly increases the risk of orthostatic hypotension, which is a sudden drop in blood pressure when standing. Combine that with a hot shower, which dilates blood vessels, and the result can be fainting, dizziness, or worse. This really struck me because my Uncle Leonard, who's 77, used to complain about feeling dizzy during his morning shower. We brushed it off as just age. But after a scary moment when he nearly passed out in the shower, his doctor explained that his dehydration was the likely trigger. Now, he drinks a glass of water 15 minutes before showering, and just like that, the problem disappeared. Such a simple fix for what could have been a tragic accident. This really changed how I think about morning routines, especially for the elderly. We tend to focus so much on big-picture health, exercise, prescriptions, diets. But sometimes it's these little, everyday habits, like skipping water in the morning, that put people at the greatest risk. I've since made it a rule in my house and for my older relatives, no showering before drinking water. We keep a reusable water bottle in the bathroom and another by the bed. It sounds like a small thing, but for a senior, that glass of water could be the difference between a normal day and an ER visit. And let's talk about how underrated hydration is for seniors. As people age, their sense of thirst weakens, so they don't even feel thirsty in the morning, even when their bodies are screaming for fluids. That's why waiting to feel thirsty isn't reliable. It has to be proactive. In my opinion, we need to treat hydration like medication, especially in the morning. It should be a non-negotiable part of a senior's routine. Honestly, this is something caregivers and family members need to be aware of, too. A simple reminder to drink a glass of water before a shower could literally save a life. The takeaway is clear, don't underestimate your body's need for hydration, especially after 70. If you're waking up and stepping straight into the shower, please take a moment and reach for water first. It's a small step, but one that could protect your health, your independence, and maybe even your life. When help comes too late, the hidden risk of early morning falls for seniors. One of the scariest things I've come to realize about aging is how dangerous being alone during the early morning hours can be, especially in the bathroom. I used to think the biggest issue with falls was the fall itself. But what no one talks about enough is what happens after a fall, when no one's around to help you. And if it happens in the early morning, when most people are asleep, it can be tragically too late. When I first read that seniors who fall between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. are 40% less likely to receive timely help, I was shocked. I thought, how could a few hours make such a huge difference? But it actually makes perfect sense. These hours are when family members, neighbors, and caregivers are least likely to check in. Most people are asleep or just waking up, and phones are on silent. So if a senior falls and can't reach help, they might lie there for hours, wet, cold, and injured, before anyone finds them. That's exactly what happened to Beatrice Harper, a 73-year-old widow who lived alone. She fell in her bathroom during her 5 a.m. shower and wasn't discovered until after 9 o'clock. The delay resulted in hypothermia and severe bruising, and she spent weeks recovering. Her doctors said that had she fallen just a few hours later, around midday, someone likely would have found her much sooner. That story hit hard because it made me think of my own grandmother, who lives alone and wakes up early. What if that happened to her? Would anyone know? Would she be able to call for help? The terrifying truth is that for many seniors, the answer is no. That's why I've become a huge advocate for emergency preparedness in the bathroom. My family installed a waterproof emergency call button right by my grandmother's shower, and we set up a morning check-in schedule with a neighbor and a relative. It gives everyone peace of mind, especially her. To me, these aren't luxury measures, they're essential. No one plans to fall, and no one wants to think about lying alone in pain for hours. But unfortunately, without proper precautions, that's the reality for too many seniors. I think part of the problem is that people assume help will always be there, just in case. But early morning falls break that assumption. They happen when the world is quiet, and the chances of someone hearing you or checking in are slim. So here's what I believe every senior household needs: a waterproof emergency alert system in the shower or bathroom. Scheduled morning check-ins, either by phone or in person. A review of daily routines to avoid risky hours when possible, especially for high-risk individuals living alone. We have alarms for fires, gas leaks, and break-ins. But what about an alarm for a silent emergency, like lying on a cold tile floor with no way to call out? Let's not wait until it happens. Let's plan now, because the cost of waiting until someone finds you might be a cost you can't afford to pay. Why your brain might be the real danger in an early morning shower. There's a common belief that mornings are when we're most productive, that our minds are sharpest and ready to tackle the day. But what most people, including myself until recently, don't realize is that for seniors over 70, early mornings can be one of the most cognitively vulnerable times of day. And when that vulnerability meets a slippery bathroom floor and steaming water, the outcome can be terrifying. When I first learned that cognitive performance, including reaction time, decision-making, and processing speed, is significantly impaired in seniors between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m., I'll admit, I was skeptical. It didn't make sense to me. But after diving into the research, I discovered that neurologists at Stanford have confirmed this exact phenomenon. Our brains, like our bodies, follow circadian rhythms, and for older adults, mental sharpness tends to peak later in the morning, not during those pre-dawn hours. I saw this play out firsthand with my neighbor Franklin, who's 79. He's always been mentally sharp, a crossword puzzle master and a news junkie. But one morning, he accidentally turned his shower to scalding hot and didn't even realize it until he was badly burned. He told me later, if it had happened at noon, I would have noticed the temperature change immediately. But my brain just wasn't fully awake yet. That moment changed everything for him, and for me. It made me think, how often are we putting ourselves at risk simply because we overestimate our early morning mental clarity? A slippery floor, a too hot shower handle, a quick decision about whether to grab the towel or the wall, all of these require fast thinking and clear judgment. And during those early hours, our brains just aren't firing on all cylinders. For seniors, who already face reduced balance, slower reflexes, and vision limitations, that cognitive delay can mean the difference between catching themselves during a slip or landing hard on the tile floor. Since learning this, I've made a strong recommendation to my parents and older relatives: don't shower before 10 a.m. It's not just about convenience, it's about giving their minds and bodies the time to fully wake up and function. And honestly, I've started doing this myself, too. Even though I'm not a senior, I've realized that easing into the day with hydration, light stretching, and maybe a little movement before jumping into a hot shower helps me feel safer and more alert. In my opinion, we underestimate the role of cognitive readiness in our daily routines. We plan around our work schedules or our errands, but not our brain's actual capacity to respond to risks. That's something we all need to rethink, especially as we age. So if you, or someone you love, has an early morning shower habit, I strongly urge a rethink. Wait until your mind is awake and ready. Set a consistent shower window from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. when mental clarity is at its best. And consider adding small safety tools, like a shower timer or automatic temperature regulator, to reduce the need for split-second decisions in the first place. Because when it comes to safety, especially in the bathroom, your brain is your first line of defense. Seeing danger in the dark: why early morning bathrooms are a hidden hazard for seniors. I used to think a bathroom was just a bathroom, small, familiar, and harmless. But after my grandfather's fall at 5:30 a.m., I've come to see it very differently. That once simple room has turned into one of the most dangerous places in the house, especially for seniors navigating it during the early morning hours. The idea that your bathroom could be deadly at certain times of day honestly shocked me at first. But once I looked into the facts, it made perfect sense. According to studies from the National Institute on Aging, seniors over 70 experience a 60% drop in visual perception and depth sensitivity in low-light conditions. That means that in the dim lighting of early morning, the very layout of your bathroom, tiled floors, slippery rugs, tubs with slick edges, turns into a silent trap. One of the most heartbreaking stories I've heard is that of Gregory Harrison, an 81-year-old who slipped during his pre-dawn shower. He couldn't see a puddle of water on the floor due to the low light, and the resulting fall left him with a fractured hip and a permanent decline in mobility. What's most haunting is that he later said, "If I had just waited until daylight, I would have seen the water and avoided the fall that changed everything." That stuck with me. It made me realize how much we take lighting and visibility for granted, especially in spaces we're familiar with. Just because you know your bathroom layout doesn't mean your aging eyes can still safely interpret it in poor lighting. That experience prompted my family to take action. We installed motion-activated night lights leading to and inside my grandfather's bathroom. These aren't expensive, just a few dollars on Amazon, but the peace of mind they provide is priceless. We also replaced old rugs with high-contrast, non-slip mats, so he can clearly see the edges even in low light. To me, it's about respecting the changes that come with aging instead of ignoring them. The truth is, we all slow down. Our vision dims, especially when transitioning from darkness to light. Contrast sensitivity and depth perception fade. And those early morning hours, when your eyes are adjusting and your body is still stiff from sleep, are the worst possible time to face a slippery floor or a step-in tub. What frustrates me is how easily preventable these accidents can be. Most people don't think to audit their bathroom lighting or layout until something bad happens. But why wait? A few simple changes, brighter lights, motion sensors, visible rugs, could mean the difference between a safe shower and a hospital visit. If you're over 70 or love someone who is, take a few minutes today to walk through your bathroom in low light. Ask yourself, can I clearly see the floor, the towel rack, the bath mat? If not, you've got a problem that's begging to be fixed. Safety doesn't always require a remodel. Sometimes, it just requires a shift in awareness. And for seniors, especially in those vulnerable morning hours, that awareness can save a life. Thirsty and at risk, how morning dehydration turns showers into danger zones for seniors. I never thought something as simple as a morning shower could be dangerous, until I learned about the silent role dehydration plays in accidents among seniors. It turns out, what seems like a refreshing start to the day could actually be setting seniors up for a fall. And it all starts with a glass of water that never got drunk. Let me be honest, I've never been someone who drinks water first thing in the morning. I usually go straight to coffee, assuming that's enough to wake me up. But after reading research from Johns Hopkins University, I realized that most people, especially seniors, wake up mildly to moderately dehydrated, and this can have a serious effect on the body's balance and blood pressure regulation. In seniors, that dehydration doesn't just mean dry lips or sluggishness. It can cause orthostatic hypotension, a condition where blood pressure drops suddenly when moving from lying down to standing. And guess what activity requires you to stand upright for several minutes, in a steamy environment, right after waking up? Showering. Dr. William Parker, a leading researcher in geriatric hydration, explains it clearly. Seniors wake up in a state where blood volume is reduced. Add the heat and upright posture of a shower, and the body diverts blood to the skin, reducing brain perfusion. That's when dizziness and falls occur. I saw this play out in real life with Leonard Sullivan, a 77-year-old friend of my grandfather. He kept feeling dizzy during morning showers and never knew why, until his doctor suggested trying a glass of water before stepping into the bathroom. That simple step made the dizziness disappear. It felt like a miracle to him, but really, it was science. That story hit home for me. My own grandmother once slipped in the bathroom early in the morning. At the time, we blamed it on a wet floor or bad balance, but now I wonder, was it dehydration that weakened her footing and made her head spin? Since then, I've encouraged my grandparents to build a new habit: keep a water bottle by the bed and drink a full glass right after waking up, before doing anything else, including showering. It's a small act, but the impact could be life-saving. I've started doing it myself too, and I'm shocked at how much more energized and clear-headed I feel in the morning. I believe this is a habit that should be taught to every senior, caregiver, and adult child of aging parents. We focus so much on grab bars, non-slip mats, and fall detection devices. Those are all great, but hydration is internal prevention. It's invisible, yet absolutely vital. To anyone reading this, don't underestimate the power of water. If you or someone you care about is over 70, make drinking water a non-negotiable part of the morning routine. Set a reminder, leave a note on the bathroom mirror, or even put a bottle in the shower as a visual cue. Sometimes, saving a life doesn't come from expensive tech or complicated procedures. Sometimes, it's as easy as drinking a glass of water. Alone and unseen, the hidden danger of early morning shower falls for seniors. Until recently, I never gave much thought to what would happen if someone fell in the bathroom at 5 a.m. But the truth is sobering. If you're a senior who falls during an early morning shower, there's a very real chance no one will find you in time. That's a terrifying reality I hadn't considered until I read the story of Beatrice Harper. Beatrice, a 73-year-old widow, slipped in her bathroom during a 5 a.m. shower and lay on the cold tile floor for nearly 4 hours before anyone found her. By the time she was discovered, she was suffering from hypothermia and muscle trauma. Her doctor said she could have avoided all of it if someone had found her sooner. That story broke my heart. It also made me think about my own elderly relatives. My grandmother lives alone and still insists on showering before sunrise. She prides herself on independence, but that same independence can be risky, especially when it comes with isolation. According to emergency medicine data, seniors who fall during early morning hours are 40% less likely to be discovered in time to receive life-saving help. The house is quiet, neighbors are still asleep, and family members aren't calling or checking in yet. Add a wet, locked bathroom to the equation, and you have a recipe for disaster. Dr. Emily Rodriguez, a specialist in geriatric trauma, describes the first hour after a serious fall as the golden hour, a critical window where medical intervention can prevent complications or even death. But when that fall happens in the early morning, the likelihood of someone being there to help drops dramatically. I now believe every senior who lives alone, or even with a partner, should have a waterproof emergency call button installed in their shower area. It's such a simple, affordable measure, yet most people don't do it until it's too late. We installed one for my grandmother last month, and while she was hesitant at first, she now says it makes her feel safer every day. Beyond technology, we've also arranged regular check-in calls during the morning hours. Just a quick call or message at 7:30 a.m. lets us know she's okay, and gives her a chance to say if she's feeling off or dizzy. That small step adds a layer of reassurance not just for her, but for the entire family. I understand the desire to stick with a long-held routine. For many seniors, showering early is part of a lifestyle they've followed for decades. But at some point, we need to ask, what's more important, routine or safety? If you're a senior, or you care for one, consider this: how long would it take someone to find you if you fell at 5 a.m.? The answer might be the difference between recovery and a tragedy. Prevention isn't just about grab bars and mats. It's about planning for the worst and acting before it happens. A small change in timing, or a simple call button, can save a life. Let's not wait until a loved one becomes the next Beatrice Harper.